So what is a sprint? A sprint is a time box. What is a time box, I hear you ask? Well, a time box is any point of time between point A and point B. Could be a 15-minute break, could be a 2-hour meeting, could be a working week from Monday to Friday. Or in the case of Scrum, a sprint is a time box of a month or less, within which all the other work to deliver an increment is done. And all the other 4 events, the sprint being one of the 5 events, happen within that time box. And of course, be shorter than a month. The average, as I'm sure you've heard, is 2 weeks, which does not mean it's the best. It usually just means that what other people saw others doing, so they're copying that. Key thing is to find the one that works for you. Usually, it's a conversation between the product owner and the developers, with the Scrum Master facilitating, the product owner wanting a shorter sprint to limit risk. Shorter sprints inherently carry less risk because we will check in with our stakeholders more frequently. And developers tend to want a slightly longer sprint because they want to make sure they can get something significant done, which takes time. That's the reality. So they tend to want a slightly longer one. And then finding that middle ground where you limit risk and you get something significant done at a pace that is sustainable. If you're going to be working together for 2 years, but you burn out after 3 sprints, that's no good. You need to find something that works for you. Our recommendation to everyone is pick a number that you believe is going to work for you. Try it for at least 3 to 4 sprints, because you're going to find some things that are difficult in your environment and how you work together and come together. And it takes 3 to 4 sprints to suss some of that out and figure it out. If it still doesn't work after 3 to 4 sprints, try tweaking the length one more time, and you should get closer to where you need to be. Now, how is a sprint different from, say, a deadline or a short project of a month or less? Again, the key thing here is in terms of the scope, usually. In projects, we tend to fix scope, which if we're using projects appropriately for complicated work, that's not necessarily a problem. You can often fix scope for things that are a known quantity because you know how much work is needed to get there. In complex work, we do not know how much work is needed to get there, or if it's even possible to get there. Or even worse, if we do get there, is it actually valuable? They are all assumptions. So the key thing is, of course, to try and get something out the door as quickly as possible to validate any and all of those assumptions. So back to how they differ. Well, in a project, you put a deadline in place to say everything needs to be done by this time. In a sprint, that is not what we do. We set a goal. We call it the sprint goal in Scrum. That is the thing we commit to try and turn heaven and earth to achieve. We say, this is the thing we're going to do our very best to achieve. However, we do not promise exactly what scope is going to be delivered as part of our journey to that point. Instead, it's much better to think of the sprint as a risk management device. You pay someone to do work for you within a sprint as a stakeholder. They do that work and they code back to you at the end of the sprint saying, this is what we either did or did not manage to get done. Do you want to pay for another sprint? Was the return on investment worth it or not? Because we cannot promise a solution in Scrum. When we're doing complex work, we cannot promise a solution within a certain time box. So instead, we focus on risk. You can kind of think of it like rolling dice. Any gambling addicts, beware. It's not gambling, I promise. It's just a different way of doing work. If you're paying someone to do a sprint for you, you are asking them to roll dice for you, and then they check in with you to see if you like the results and if you want to try paying for rolling the dice again. We keep going through sprints over and over again, rolling these dice, hopefully generating value as a result of that, until we either don't like the return on investment anymore, we run out of money, or we've gotten everything we needed as a result of rolling those dice. So it's risk management versus exact delivery. Now, don't think that means that by using a project, you can guarantee exact delivery in complex work. The key thing here is that complex work is inherently different. If you're unsure about what a complex problem is, you've all done them at some point in your life. The best way to think about it is that problem you were going to try and figure out. You said, I'm just going to spend 10 minutes. It's a pretty straightforward thing. I'll get it sorted. 2 weeks later, you're still trying to make it work. That was a complex problem. It may have seemed easy or difficult or whatever, but it's only by doing the work that the actual answer to it reveals itself. Which is very painful. It's very uncomfortable, but it's the reality we face, which is why Scrum and Agile is so important. Because it's the right tool for dealing with those kinds of problems. What is the primary goal then of the sprint? Once again, it's to get to that goal. We set a goal and we use the empirical process of making things visible, checking in if it's where want to be, and making changes to get us closer to where we want to be to get to that goal. We commit to the goal. We do not commit to the exact work we're doing to get to the goal. And my recommendation is, because we want to be a little bit audacious, we do want to be brave. If you're getting to 80 to 90% of your sprint goals as a Scrum team, you're doing pretty good. Less than that, we want to be checking in to see, are we biting off more than we can chew? More than that, maybe we're not taking off enough. Maybe we're not being brave enough. Finding that healthy balance. And that's what a sprint is. All right. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like what you saw and you want to hear more about what I've got to say in the future on similar questions, or if you have a question yourself, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can also email me at oscar.styf@pragmaticshift.com. Please do like the video, share it with others if you think they might benefit from it, or follow my profile to see stuff as they come out as well. And I would love to be your Scrum trainer. So please find my content on pragmaticshift.com. You can find the courses I've scheduled for the year, or on scrum.org.com as well. Look forward to seeing you in my classroom soon.